Civil engineers touch just about everything we see when we look out the window. So they're involved in a lot of the work that we're doing that you see everywhere. You can work on roads, you can work on buildings, in the environmental sector. There's so many different options if you take with a civil engineering background.
Working for the province in the Department of Environment and Local Government as an engineer, my focus is mostly on industrial and municipal wastes. So we deal with anything that might have a negative impact on the environment, whether it be wastewater or drinking water, the discharges from the treatment plants, or industrial waste, or air approvals as well. So a typical day for me would involve a lot of emails and phone calls with clients to clarify any regulatory questions they may have. And also I do a lot of auditing. So I would go visit one of our approval holders and we'd visit the full facility, look at everything that they have and ensure that they're following our regulations so that they're not having any negative impacts on the environment.
Someone who's considering a career in civil engineering are often motivated because they like to solve problems. And civil engineering is about solving problems, whether it's, again, providing safe and clean drinking water, or an efficient, safe transportation system, or a building to meet the needs of people in society. Civil engineers are about problem solving.
I find my personality really meshes well with my career as a civil engineer in that I'm really open-minded and I'm not afraid to ask questions and I'm not afraid to be wrong. So for example, when I started at the environment, I often bugged my manager. It must have been annoying, but I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was right and that it was on the same path as his. And I wasn't afraid to be wrong and I wasn't afraid to ask the same question twice. And it's also good for if I'm doing a site visit and I'm asking questions, I'm not afraid to ask a stupid question. And I find that helps with relating with the client. I find that being open-minded really helps. And a lot of times too, it'll help me find solutions. Because I'm not so focused on my solution, I'll ask questions to different people and they'll help me think of it from a different perspective and approach my problems from a different angle. And in engineering, that's huge, it's really big. One of my favorite things to do is woodworking. And I think that relates to my career as a civil engineer in a few ways. One of the big ways, obviously, is the structure of whatever I'm building. I want to make sure that it's structurally sound and that it's going to last a while and not fall apart. But another way that maybe is a little bit different or people wouldn't think of is the design of what I'm building. So a lot of what I build, I just design it myself. From scratch, I'll find something that I need in my house, for example. Let's say I need a TV unit. Well then, how big of a unit do I need to build? What do I want to hold? What do I want? Doors? Do I not want doors? And so in engineering, we're taught that that's important. You have to find out who you're building for and what they need exactly. In my woodworking, there's a lot of that goes into it. A lot of thought into what I need and how I need to design it.
When a student starts their education at UNB in engineering, they're going to begin in a classroom and they're going to learn about the theoretical side and the fundamentals that are important to the engineering profession and doing engineering work. And further to that, to help complement what they learn in their classroom with their assignments and the problems that they do, they'll often do laboratories. As part of those labs, they'll learn, let's say, about properties of materials. They may do an experiment where they take a piece of steel and they break it or they bend it to understand its properties, because what we can understand at a micro level can help us figure out how this will work on a larger level, like in a structure. And as part of those labs, they will learn how these processes work, and then they can use that to help their education and understanding how these things fit into the broader world of engineering.
I think a lot of people are shocked in their first year at the amount of responsibility and work that they have. But once you learn the right work ethic, it's very easy to manage getting through not only that year, but the rest of the degree. I see softball and all my intramural sports, whether it's ultimate frisbee or soccer, as just a chance to get away from the hard workload and just let off some steam. You just get rid of all the tension and the stress, and I don't know, it's for me, it's always been very comforting to have those hobbies.
You may notice that all Canadian engineers have these iron rings on their hands, and they'll always be on the hand that we write with. And the idea is for it to be a reminder to us in what we're designing to make sure that we're building it to be safe. So the initial iron rings were based off of a bridge in Quebec that was built and it failed twice during the build and design phase. So they made these rings out of the first rings, they made them out of the iron from that bridge to remind us to really take the time to make sure that our designs and our math and everything is correct so that there are no lives lost during the building and the use of these structures.
So once you graduate, your first step to becoming a professional engineer is actually to register as a member in training with your local association. Once you've registered as an MIT or member in training, you then set about acquiring 4 years of professional practice. And that work should be supervised by a professional engineer who can attest to the quality of your work during those 4 years. You'll also be required to submit references from at least 3 professional engineers who are knowledgeable of your work, and you'll have to also complete the professional practice exam, which is an exam that tests your knowledge of ethics and law around engineering practice.
A civil engineer can expect to work in a variety of areas depending on what particular discipline they may be in. Some may work in government organizations. The government maintains large public infrastructure. Their environment departments as well. You may find yourself in the private sector as a consultant, or you may find yourself in academia doing research or teaching. Some may use their training in civil engineering to pivot to other careers as well. Maybe they start their own business in a technology or in a service that they maybe were inspired because of the training that they took.
When I graduate, I really do plan on staying in New Brunswick. For me, it's family, it's where I grew up, it's where I want to be. And as an engineer, you have a chance to really change the world around you and make things better for everyone. And I'd really like to do that here where I grew up.
One of the big reasons that I chose to stay and work in New Brunswick really is my family. My wife and I are big on family. We want to have a nice big family, and we've got both our parents here. I've got a brother here. We've got lots of family in the province, and that's really important to us. But another reason we decided to stay is we found some good jobs. You know, I got to work for the province as an engineer. My wife is a teacher.
The current job market for civil engineers is considered to be very good. Canada-wide and in New Brunswick, we've seen a small but steady growth. And as an aging population retires from the profession, we expect to see further growth in the next 5 to 10 years.
The thing about civil engineering, and in my job specifically that gives me great satisfaction, is that I get to protect the environment. Through drinking water, I regulate drinking water. I get to protect human health. And, you know, that's one of the things I really like about my job.
I hope that when I do my work here, that whether it's helping students that are looking to make a difference themselves or projects that I'm working on that may improve the lives of folks that depend on transportation systems, just making that difference, I think, is the most satisfying part of the work here.